Hello everybody, welcome back to the Chunky Studio. This is Jordan, and today we have an emergency update on Tropical Storm Kiko, which has recently formed and can bring some significant impacts to Hawaii if it gets close enough. So anyways, let's get straight into today's weather forecast. First of all, I'm going to talk about the Atlantic, where we have an area of interest here. 30% chance of development in 7 days. This could form into a weak system, potentially a tropical storm, very low and hurricane, but it will likely have a similar track to Aaron, where it curves out to sea. This could track farther west than Aaron, or it could track between Bermuda and the east coast like Aaron did. We really don't know as of now. Here's the Eastern Pacific. We have this one area of interest. 50% chance of development in 48 hours, 80% chance of development within 7 days. This will likely form into a tropical depression around the middle of this week, around Tuesday to Thursday, and this could actually bring some significant impacts to the southern coast of Mexico, but more precisely, it could also bring some impacts to Baja California and Southern California, especially if rainfall. We also have Tropical Storm Kiko, which here's the forecast advisory for. Right now it's at 40 miles an hour, but it's expected to strengthen gradually into a hurricane. I think they are going sort of low with this. I do think this will have a shot of getting around 100 to 110 miles an hour. I think they're just being conservative because they don't want to over-forecast, but I do think this has a good shot of becoming a Category 2 hurricane with the conditions we do have. Here's the forecast cone. You can see the trend basically west, so very low south, and this is just within the next 7 days. After that, could start going a little bit more to the north, and it could actually bring some impacts to Hawaii. Here's the satellite loop for Tropical Storm Kiko. And as we see here, you can see it is not the best organized, but it is a relatively large system. It's not very large, but it is somewhat large compared to some of the other storms we've seen out there, but it's not super organized. Now, if we look at the intensity guides, you can see a lot have it becoming a hurricane, and some even have it becoming a Category 2. I do think this could potentially rapidly intensify, but I do think this has a good shot of becoming a at least low in Category 2. I think the chances of a major hurricane are low, but I cannot completely rule it out as of right now. Now looking at the sea surface temperatures, you can see where the system currently is. Decent sea surface temperatures, not the best, but this still could let it become a Category 1, Category 2 hurricane here. You can see the Gulf is and off the coast of Mexico very warm. This is where our system is, and I do think that this system will likely become at least a tropical storm, not a hurricane here. And from this system here, it has good conditions through here. Obviously, some of this has been cooled by Aaron. You can see through here, this is where Aaron tracked, and you can see its core there. But it is already starting to recover in some places, and it did not have a super huge effect other than really in this general area right here. Now, looking at the sea surface temperature anomalies, you can see we are running behind average of much of the Eastern Pacific. You can see we do have some cooler waters in our El Niño Southern Oscillation, which could be a sign of a La Niña potentially forming. In our Atlantic, much of it's at least somewhat above average. We do have a little bit of below average of the main development region and a little bit of below average here, but for the most part we are average to above average. And in the Western Pacific, we are running well above average in some places here, especially around Japan, and even down here it is still above average, and here it's around average. So anyways, that's all I have for today's video. Tropical Storm Kiko has formed, and it could potentially bring some significant impacts to southern Hawaii. We also have another disturbance over here which could bring some impacts to southern Mexico and to Baja California. And then we have a solar system out here in the Atlantic which could take a similar track to Erin, and if it does do that, this could bring some significant wet currents to parts of the East Coast. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, leaving a comment down below, and subscribing to my channel. Goodbye.